Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. Be seen on WHPR Detroit Live, Comcast Cable Channel 91, on the web at TV33WHPR.com, with the TV33 app, on Roku, Google TV, Apple TV, and on Amazon Fire TV. Act now. Time slots are limited. Sign up today and get a free replay with the purchase of your time slot. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Good morning, Highland Park. This is Highland Park Highlights, and I'm your host, Rod Liggins. Thanks for joining us this morning. It's about 2 minutes after 8, and the temperature right now is 43 degrees. We want to welcome you to our show, and as we always do, we want to start off with a few news stories as we get the day off to a great start. You can expect sunny skies today with a high of 70 degrees, so it's a little chilly right now, but it will be getting a lot warmer real soon. In the news, one of the news stories in Miami Beach, Florida, there are a lot of spring breakers that are taking advantage of the sunny skies in Florida, but unfortunately it got a bit out of hand. Crowds by the thousands started to gather. There was not much social distancing, and very few folks are wearing masks, and the police had to come out and they started to shoot pepper balls to disperse the crowds, and even the mayor set an 8 p.m. curfew. And if you know how spring breakers do, when they go to Florida, the party lasts all through the night into the morning. So right now, the municipalities down there are striving to keep folks safe because they're not trying to see a spike in the COVID-19 cases or deaths in the state of Florida. Speaking of COVID, here in Michigan, Michigan has seen a spike in the number of cases in the recent weeks of those infected with the coronavirus. And over the past few weeks, there's been a lot of news about the vaccinations, but we still have to be vigilant to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and keeping our masks on and staying socially distant. If you have been vaccinated, and if you haven't been, you still want to maintain those particular guidelines as it relates to socializing, because just because you were tested and were vaccinated does not mean those around you have been. So please continue to maintain the precautions that are out there. We know that the weather's getting warmer, the skies are getting sunnier, it gets dark a lot later now, and there's a lot of activity going on in-house and outside, but we still have to be mindful to make sure that we're doing all we can. Continue to wash your hands, continue to socially distance yourselves, and please continue to wear your masks whenever you're going out into the community, out shopping, wherever you may go. Protect yourself and protect others is the directive from the health officials across the state. Speaking of the vaccinations, Highland Park will have another session of vaccinations in the very near future, as soon as next week. We'll have more details on that next week, but be sure to stay tuned, and every now and then check out the City of Highland Park's website at highlandparkmi.gov, and also check out the Facebook page for the city, where you'll find more information on ways you can become vaccinated from the COVID-19 virus. Former Governor Rick Snyder lost his bid to have the charges tossed out. The judge in Genesee County chose to deny his request as it relates to his misdemeanor charges that he faces from the Flint water crisis. This took place on his watch as governor, and right now the trial is set to go on. There is no formal set date, but the request to have the charges dropped was denied. In sports, over the weekend, the University of Michigan made it to the second round of the NCAA Championship Series in men's basketball. The Wolverines will now take on LSU tonight in their battle to become national champs. However, the news was not that great for other Big Ten teams. Michigan State lost their match in the first round. Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Maryland all are now watching the NCAA games instead of playing in them because they all lost over the weekend. It was a tough break for a lot of schools because the Big Ten had 9 teams that showed up inside, but unfortunately, University of Michigan is pretty much the only one still standing. Coming up, we'll be joined by a special guest here, and we just want to make sure that you stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Stay tuned for more Highland Park Highlights.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri, encouraging all taxpayers to please take advantage of the several payment options available.
You can pay online by visiting the Wayne County Treasurer's Office website. Paying online is easy and convenient.
You can also download the mobile app and pay with your smartphone.
You can pay at one of 70 kiosks located throughout Wayne County.
And yes, you can always still send in your payments using the U.S. Postal Service.
If you have to visit our office in person, you must make an appointment by going to treasurer.waynecounty.com. It only takes a few minutes. Facial covering or mask is required and social distancing is observed. Your health and safety is very important to us. You can also email our office at taxinfo@waynecounty.com or call us at 313-224-5990.
If you need a car today, use credit, bruise credit, or in need of a financial miracle, my name is Mr. Green, the Financing King. Got a small down payment and proof of income. You can drive away today in a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. Call me, Mr. Green, 313-350-4188. I have over 35 years of experience and an unlimited selection of reliable, certified vehicles. Call Mr. Green, the Financing King, 313-350-4188.
I'm attorney Carl Collins III. I'm attorney Carl Collins III. Hello, I'm attorney Carl Collins III. If you've been injured and you need help, make the best call on your worst day. Call me at 855-CAR-HIT-YOU. That's 855-CAR-HIT-YOU.
Good morning and welcome back to Highland Park Highlights. I'm your host, Rod Liggins, and I'm glad to be joined this morning by the city's top cop, Highland Park Police Chief, Kevin Coney. Chief, thanks for joining me this morning.
Good morning.
Now, let me just start from the beginning because I want folks who may not have met you in person or may have questions about who you are and what you do. Tell me about yourself and tell me how you made the decision to become a law enforcement officer.
Well, I've been employed with Highland Park approximately 27 years. Growing up, man, I kind of seen things that happened in the early 70s and 80s, and I just wanted to make a difference. And I always wanted to be a fireman first, of course, because everybody liked firemen, and people didn't like the police. But 27 years ago, one of my friends said, "Man, Highland Park hiring police officers and firemen." I said, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah." So I applied, and 6 months later, I got hired. So this is my long life dream, is to be a police officer and a firefighter. People say doctors and lawyers, that wasn't my dream. My dream is what I'm doing right now.
Now, I remember, because you talked about being a kid and thinking about things like that, I remember myself just being amazed when you saw the fire truck whiz by, and even when you saw the police cars just go zooming by. But like you said, wanted to make a difference. Maybe you could have done that in other occupations, but what was it about law enforcement that drew you to that?
Back then, they had police officers in the school that was really teaching you, and you looked up to the police back then, and you respected them. You couldn't If they gave you something to do, it's like your mom or dad telling you something. If they said go home, you had to go home back then.
That's it.
It wasn't no hanging on the corners in the store. If them big four, that black car pulled up and told you to go home, you had to go home.
See,
But no questions about nothing, no back talk, no nothing.
I'm laughing because I remember those
Yeah.
days. You know, you're out and you may not have been doing anything.
Nothing.
But the police looked out for you because they knew you were at some place where something could jump off.
That's right.
And you who were just going to school, you may not even known it, and they could have been literally saving your life.
And back then, you couldn't stay out past the street light. So if you was out past that time, they knew you was up to something. So they made sure they took you home or made you go home.
And that was the thing I do remember. I remember a friend of mine in school, he got stopped by the police, and they held him and discussed things, and he knew it was late. And he said, you going home? He said, no, I need you to come home with me, because if I don't have a good reason for being late, my father's going to take it out of my behind.
That's right.
So I remember they said, okay, get in.
Yeah.
They drove him home.
Right. And back then, that's what they did.
Yeah, and they said he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
We just wanted to ask him where he was going and what he was doing.
Right.
So it was great. And I think that's the thing that when you talk about serving the community, there's that interaction. What are some of the things as chief of police that you have instilled into your officers to be more and be a part of the community?
Respect. Because, years ago, they had a rule where you had to stay in the city that you lived in. Mm-hmm. You had to work in the city that you residency rule. And when they got rid of that rule, that kind of broke up the community somewhat. Mm-hmm. Because people moved out and they felt like they didn't want to stay around where they worked at. But we have to respect one another. Myself and the deputy chief, as you know, we're community people. That's why I like today, they don't realize that we are humans too. Mm-hmm. Just because we police officers don't mean that we above everybody else. We just have a different standard that we have to live by. But we human too. We have families, kids, wives, husbands, pets. We have a lot of things that people don't realize that we have. But we have to respect one another. That goes a long way. Stop and talk to somebody and ask them how they doing, how their day going. It ain't always about writing a ticket, Sometimes you need to stop somebody, just ask them how their day going. You gotta be concerned about somebody else.
That's the thing I want to talk about, because and today, when you see a police car pull over, the first thing folks think is I'm being harassed, or they're stopping me. I didn't do anything. I'm just walking down the street. How do you convince folks that, like you said, hey, I just wanted to check in on you, everything okay, wanted to introduce myself, or anything that you think the department can do better? That's the part that, some folks are apprehensive, but how do you break that ice going up to someone that, they may have their own inhibitions of talking with law enforcement officers?
We have to constantly do it. You can't pick one time and do it. If it's something repetitive, they say, oh, they always do things like that. And that's what we have to get back to. We have to stop people and just, talking to people. If you ride down the street and see somebody sit on their porch, cutting their grass, just out talking, you have to stop and just ask them how their day going. And that the word gets around. And then when you're stopping somebody, man, you just stop them and ask them, is everything okay? Sometimes you can't. People going to have a perception about things that happen because things that happened in the past. Mm-hmm. All police officers are not bad. They're not.
Now, I remember growing up, and I was at the supermarket with my mom, and she asked me to go get something. And like you said, the officers that used to be in the schools or in the community, mm-hmm. I remember seeing this officer, and I didn't think it was him because he was in regular clothes, mm-hmm. and he's buying groceries. And I thought that was the farthest thing that I could ever imagine a police officer doing, because you didn't, like you said before, you didn't see them as someone just like you that has to go and do the grocery shopping and pay the bills. So I think that is key, to have some serious community engagement, because I've seen the stories and I've even seen it for myself. Kids now, when they see police, they run. And I don't mean like, they're teenagers, but I've seen small kids run to their parents or grandparents in a store because the images of the police that they've seen recently is so much different and so much more aggressive and so much more violent than we have. And that's something I want to touch on. We're going to take a quick break right now. But when we come back, I want to talk about how to change the perception when they see the law enforcement on a national scale, how that can be changed here in the city of Highland Park. So we want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back with the chief here on Highland Park Highlights.
I'm joined today by Maureen Taylor and Louis Pisker to let you know about a new financial empowerment center located in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office.
Do you know someone, family or friends, that need help with finances? Do you know people having trouble making ends meet, especially with property taxes or other payments? The Detroit Financial Empowerment Center can help. Treasurer Sabri invites you to visit the new Financial Empowerment Center, 400 Monroe, on the 5th floor in downtown Detroit.
We've partnered with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office and the City of Detroit to provide free one-on-one financial counseling to help you address problems related to utility bills, property or income taxes, credit repair, and other financial matters. Our professional counselors can also help you plan your monthly budget and increase your credit score.
This service is available to all Wayne County residents. For free and private financial counseling, contact the center at 313-322-6222 and make an appointment today. I'm joined today by Maureen Taylor and Louis Pisker to let you know about a new financial empowerment center located in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office.
Do you know someone, family or friends, that need help with finances? Do you know people having trouble making ends meet, especially with property taxes or other payments? The Detroit Financial Empowerment Center can help. Treasurer Sabri invites you to visit the new Financial Empowerment Center, 400 Monroe, on the 5th floor in downtown Detroit.
We've partnered with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office and the City of Detroit to provide free one-on-one financial counseling to help you address problems related to utility bills, property or income taxes, credit repair, and other financial matters. Our professional counselors can also help you plan your monthly budget and increase your credit score.
This service is available to all Wayne County residents. For free and private financial counseling, contact the center at 313-322-6222 and make an appointment today.
Shelley Books and More. Short stories, poetry, and art contests for the youth. Cash prizes, $300 to $500 plus prizes. No entry fee. Go to ShelleyBooksandMore.com. Contact Shelley at 313-778-8009. Submit entries now and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Shelley Books and More. Also, listen to Shelley Books and More every other Tuesday, 4 p.m. on FM 88.1 WHPR. Radio we can see.
Good morning and welcome back to Highland Park Highlights. Again, my name is Rod Liggins. It's just about 8:20 on Monday morning, and we're here talking with Highland Park's Police Chief, Chief Coney. And Chief, what I want to talk about again is, and I don't want to beat this to death, but I really like to talk about how the police department can be more engaged with the community as a whole. It's not just the residents. They're not just senior residents. They're youth, and they're folks in the Middle Ages. There are folks that's looking to do business here, and there are folks that have businesses here. How do you keep that engagement growing and consistent with all aspects of city life in Highland Park?
Well, I think we have to come from behind the desk. We got to get more in the community. We have to get away from that uniform aspect, because when people see that uniform, they get intimidated sometimes. Mm-hmm. So we have to let people know we are normal people, that we are just a regular citizen like you are. We just hold higher authority than the normal person. People not liking police officers nowadays because things are going all over the world. And so we can't sit back and allow things just to keep taking place without us going out here saying, no, it's not like that. Mm-hmm. You can't take an isolated incident and say all of us are just like that, because we're not. We do positive stuff in the community. Highland Park, Detroit, it's a lot of cities that does positive stuff. Is there some bad people out there? Yes, on both sides of the street. As you look at it right now, we have more civilian shootings than we have police officers shooting. Mm-hmm. And it's not coming from us, Violence is us. It's not us causing the violence. It's other people. So we need to come from behind the desk. As you see how I'm dressed today, I'm normal. I'm a normal person. I go to the store, I shop, I get a car wash, I do the, a haircut. Not, I have much hair, but we are normal people. You know what I'm saying? That we just need to get out and be more acclimated into the community. Walking around, me and the chief are when the weather break, we're gonna be walking the blocks, knocking on doors, just asking people how they doing, and let them know who we are and what we're about. Because sometimes people just want to talk. When COVID kind of slows down, if it ever does, we have a program, a ride-along program. Come to the police station and ride around and figure out what kind of day we do have.
Now, Chief, I think that's great because most folks will tell you that if the police are at your house, that's probably one of the worst days in your life because something tragic has happened. Right. So I think to be proactive and engage the community in that way with the outreach is going to go a long way in instilling more of a community feel. Yes. But as the top cop or the top law enforcement officer in the city, what are some of the things that you've requested and demanded from your officers? Because you don't hear about the types of cases of excessive force and brutality that you hear from other cities. What is it about your vision and what you put in place and the type of officers that you have where that's not the case here in the city of Highland Park?
Like I said, I demand that they give respect. Just because somebody ran a stop sign or red light or speeding or any of that, there's no reason to disrespect anybody. Respect goes a long way. Like I said, because you're a normal person, and the person you just stopped never known when you might need their assistance somewhere. So don't be disrespectful. I demand that. I demand teamwork because I'm a team player. And I don't mistreat anybody. So I'm not going to allow an officer to mistreat somebody if I'm not doing it. Growing up, like I said, the police, man, they respect you. And they respect you enough to, if you did something wrong, that you dealt with it and they took you home. And your parents agreed with that. People, like somebody gets stopped and get a ticket, they feel like they're being harassed. No, you was doing like 75 and a 35. So,
right.
But I demand respect and teamwork. That's what I demand. And we don't want officers out here mistreating nobody because it's not going to work. We have to stay on the same page.
Now tell me this. You said you've got about 27 years, almost 30 years in law enforcement experience. What would you say are some of the hardest parts of your job?
Now, because people just don't like the police. And it's hard to go out here and try to sell the police to people because people don't like it. When you turn the news on, they show incidents of like the George Floyd case. They see that and say, oh, police officers, this been going on for years. No, that's an isolated incident. That's not every cop is not doing that. Shootings just happen. That's not every police officer doing that. That's just an isolated incident. And it's hard right now to sell ourselves. That's nationwide. People don't want to be the police now. They're recruiting all over the place. But little small Highland Park, we making it. We have a great team of people that I recommend that we keep moving in the same direction. And that's the hardest part, is trying to sell ourselves back.
Now, speaking of selling yourselves, how would you convince someone? Well, first two-part, is the Highland Park Police Department hiring? And what would you say or do to encourage someone to consider becoming a Highland Park police officer?
Well, this is a great city back on the rise. We got some great things in place. We got people moving back in the city. Our crime is down. Yes, I can say that. The crime is down. We have positive people in place. We got good leadership. We got good programs in place. Just come around. See, you have to come around things to see it. You can't look through a window and say, oh, it's messed up. Come, ride along, come in the station, call, ask questions. Once you see that, you want to be a part of this. This is a great team. You go around and ask some of the officers how their day going. Just ask them. Everything is not always bad. Yes, we have some cloudy days, but for the most part, it's sunny.
Okay. And I know right now that the city of Highland Park, their they're K through 8 as opposed to K through 12. So those high school years, there's not really interaction with high school students because the city doesn't have one. What are some of the things that you do or your department can do or has done as it relates to engaging the youth of the city regarding law enforcement and avoiding the pitfalls that are out here?
Well, we have different programs. Our deputy chief, she's been doing this Shot with a Cop for probably the last 6 years. That's kind of engaging the community with the youth.
What exactly does that do?
Around Christmas time, she goes around the community and gets names. We have a scholarship fund in place for one of our officers, one of our fallen officers. We go up to the schools. George Washington Carver and Barber School. We go up to the schools with Real Men Read. We go up there and engage the kids like that. We have a national night out. People say that we're not being proactive, but we are. But we just got to get the word out there more often.
And that's why I'm glad you're here to discuss those kinds of things for the outreach, because I think it would be a great idea that you were speaking of to have the kids come out and have their parents or grandparents bring them out and let them know that when you see police, it doesn't always mean something negative. It doesn't mean that you're in trouble. Like you said before, you can just be checking in on, hey, how your grades going, or is everything okay at home type things. So those are the things that I think can go a long way. You spoke about your deputy chief. What about your other officers? Are they engaged, or do they have that same type of zeal to be interactive with the community?
100%. Like I said, we're about teamwork. So myself and the chief, whatever we process, all of them do the same thing. Like with Shot with a Cop, she doesn't have a problem getting any help with anything. If I say we want to have a picnic for some kids, everybody's involved. That's what I'm saying. We have the community just need to come out and see more. We need to come out more and kind of engage. We're going to have last year we were trying to put on a picnic for the community, but when COVID happened, that kind of subsided.
Yeah.
But this year we're going to see if we can do it again. Once a month, we're going to have something for the kids to come up to the station, the fire station, around the fire trucks, the police cars. We got helmets and stuff that we got equipment that the kids can kind of come up and interact with us to show that we're in the right direction. We won't be behind the 8 ball. We want to be in front of it. Growing up, man, we used to have all kinds of stuff like the bookmobile, the swimmobile,
Definitely.
Stuff like that. And the police officer would be out there making sure that things will go. We want to be on a first name basis with some of the kids. We don't want to say, hey, what's that name? You want to know. Highland Park is only 2.9 square miles, so we should be able to engage pretty easy.
And I think it's great, too, that you said that, because a lot of times police and law enforcement, they'll know somebody's name because of the negative things they've done.
Correct.
But to acknowledge somebody who was the spelling bee champ, or to acknowledge someone who made the winning shot on their little league team, or hit the home run, or they cheerleading, and these boys and girls.
Right.
And I think that does go a long way with instilling something that may have gotten lost from the time you and I were kids to this generation. There's a generation that grew up watching police brutality.
Correct.
And they saw that because of the advent of more camera phones. Right. And you're able to see this instantly. There are things, I was talking to my brother, and he was just saying, I said, no, news is instant now. You don't have to wait until, the noon and 5 o'clock and 11 o'clock news.
Right.
It's on around the clock. Social media tells you a lot of different things, both truth and false.
Right.
So we have to decipher from that. So I want to talk more about the community engagement, and it's coming up right now. It's 8:30 in the morning. We're going to take another break. When we come back with the chief, we want to talk about more about what you can look forward to, how you can make yourself safe in your home, and the fact that the state of Michigan now has legalized recreational marijuana and what that could mean for the city of Highland Park. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a few.
In the world of digital broadcasting, transmitters and exciters sometimes do this. If this happens when you're watching WHPR TV 33, please do this. Watch us on Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, Google TV, or TV33WHPR.com. Download the WHPR TV app, and we can also be heard on Amazon Echo. So remember, if you see this, you can do this and support the station that supports you.
Shelley Books and More. Short stories, poetry, and art contests for the youth. Cash prizes, $300 to $500 plus prizes. No entry fee. Go to ShelleyBooksandMore.com. Contact Shelley at 313-778-8009. Submit entries now and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Shelley Books and More. Also, listen to Shelley Books and More every other Tuesday, 4 p.m. on FM 88.1 WHPR. Radio we can see.
Watch Anthony Adams. We, Detroit. We deserve better. Live on Mondays from 11 a.m. to noon on WHPR TV 33 Detroit. And live stream on Facebook. We, Detroit. We deserve better.
We at Watkins Broadcasting care about the health and safety of our viewers and listeners. During this novel coronavirus pandemic, please protect yourself and others. Wash your hands well and often. Avoid touching your face. Cough and sneeze into your sleeve. Practice social distancing. Stay at least 6 feet away from others when in public and only leave the house when it's essential. Stay safe. You are important to us.
Good morning and welcome back to Highland Park Highlights. The time is 8:33 and it's about 44 degrees outside, but you can expect temperatures today to reach as high as 70 degrees, so it will be getting a bit warmer. We're joined once again with the Chief of Police of Highland Park, Chief Coney. And Chief, as you're well aware, the voters of Michigan, they approved by a 2-to-1 margin the legalization of marijuana for recreational purposes. We know some cities have opted in, some have opted out, but I want to get your thoughts first about just the legalization of it, and do you think that can be of a benefit to the city of Highland Park?
Maybe down the line. I'm not 100% certain because it's still new. But if we can benefit from it, I know other communities have an ordinance in place where the patron have to give back to the city. So if that's the case, then it would benefit us as far as our public safety, like vehicles and things of that nature. I think it'll benefit the city.
Now, I did this. It's the reason I brought that up, not just because it is topical, but yesterday I saw in the news the city of Ann Arbor was one of the first to open in the state. And with the money, the revenue they've generated, they are going to use that for educational purposes. They're also going to revamp the police department, not just with equipment, but their response tactics, because they don't want to see themselves or their city on the news for someone that's using excessive force. They don't want, if someone is having a mental issue, that they're greeted with tasers and handguns before trying to meet with that person with someone that is maybe a social worker or a mental health worker that can possibly diffuse that issue. If you were charged or empowered with helping to write the ordinance, what are some safeguards that you would like to see if the city decides that, or if the voters here, the residents, they say they want to have recreational marijuana dispensaries in the city? What are some of the things that you would like for the city council and the mayor to consider by ways of safeguards for the community?
Training. I mean, that's the key, to have all the community come together and train and figure out what aspect of the city which we need. That's the way you disperse the money, because without training, no matter what it is, whether it's marijuana, whether it's use of force, whether it's with the fire department, our EMS, we all have to be on the same page to make it. That's what I say about that teamwork. So we have to come together and see what we really need. One person can't say, okay, let's just do this. Collectively, we have to sit down and say, okay, what will benefit the whole city? Whatever that is, that's what I'm for.
Because I know right now, we know that there are still illegal drug sales of all types. And we know that these are things, at least the thought behind it for some voters were, well, if we make it legal, we can decriminalize it and you won't have as much crime as, because we know there used to be, and there probably still are, the turf wars. Someone said, oh no, this is my area, you go someplace else, and if you don't, you know what could happen.
Correct.
So these are some of the concerns that folks have, but for a dispensary, this will be taking place just the same way you would go into a store. This is not somebody that, oh, it's legal, so I can sell it on the corner. So they would be inside of a brick and mortar building. The question is, with that being done, do you see that, and I know it hasn't happened here, but do you see that as an added responsibility or duties for the police officers here to try to keep the peace and make sure things are being done legally if dispensaries were to come here?
Yes, it's going to be an added expense, just like anything else, But I think with training, I think that will be very helpful. Like you say, other communities, we can just go kind of mimic what they're doing. Because if it's legalized, then it's nothing we can do about it if it's legalized. The city can put an ordinance in place, but if we can benefit from it, I think it will help the city. I think it would. I think that, the surrounding communities, like Detroit, is much bigger than Highland Park. But statistics shows when you legalize things, crime decreases. Like you said with marijuana, it's probably going to decrease the crime because if it's legal, you can get it in a regular store. Then somebody out in the corner trying to sell it, it's going to be minimized because you can go in any store, the gas station.
Exactly.
Like cigarettes,
Right.
People used to sell cigarettes. Now you can go anywhere and buy some cigarettes. So I think, but it has to be, everything has to be across the board. And once you get to that point, then I think it'll be much better.
Okay. I want to shift just a bit and talk about neighborhood safety. If you're a resident, you already know, but if you haven't been to Highland Park lately, you should come by and just see these beautiful, what I call enormous houses.
Yes.
The question I have for you was, as far as suggestions for folks, how can folks feel safer in their homes? What are things that people can do to make themselves safer in their homes? We know that it can start with things as simple as making sure your house is well lit and things of that sort. But what are some of the things as far as security measures on their doors, on their windows, on their vehicles, where they're parking, whatever? What are some things that people can do to make themselves safer?
To be honest, block clubs are very important. Because if everybody in the neighborhood knew one another, they'll know something out of place. It's some of the stuff I can say, but I wouldn't say it out loud yet. Your porch light is very important. If everybody had their porch light on, the livelihood of somebody walking the street trying to do something would minimize it because it's lit up. Those old lights they used to have in the front yard, things like that. Motion lights on the side of your house. If somebody walk up, the light pops on. Those Ring doorbells are very, very, very helpful now.
Yes,
we have
I've seen those.
We're able now to monitor the Ring doorbells in neighborhoods. So if something was to happen, you immediately know what's going on. We're trying to put in place a well-being check for senior citizens. So if a senior goes out of town or if something happens, we're going to have an officer just go by and just kind of check on them and make sure they're doing okay. If they need something, we can kind of help them out that way. I got to get with the mayor so we can see how we can actually put that in place by the time summertime get here. You know, things like that. You know, in-home safety. You know, make sure your door locked. I don't agree with this. I've been a fireman and a police officer almost 30 years. I don't agree with those locks that you lock inside. You're locking yourself in the house with a deadbolt and leaving the key in the door. I don't agree with that. Two things happen. If you panic, guaranteed you won't be able to use that key. So it's some safety measures we're going to have at the station. I think me and the chief talked about it next month. It's going to be an event. We're going to have it at the fire station once COVID kind of subsides itself. We're going to have some safety tips for people to, you know, just safe in your own home. You know, locking every door and window.
That key in the door you made me think of. I remember talking with firefighters, and they were saying how, you know, when your house is full of smoke, you could have lived in that house for 30 years. But like you said, in a panic mode, you're not thinking, okay, where's the key? You shouldn't have to search for it. You should be able to turn it, open it, and get out.
Right.
And that's the thing. People think, well, I'm so secure in here, but you may have to get out as quickly as you want to stop someone from getting in.
Right. Because people leave the key on the table, say, nope.
Yeah.
You guaranteed you won't find that key. And the average person, if I spin you around, if I blindfold you, spin you around in your house, you wouldn't be able to get out. You'll be in panic mode.
That's the thing that I think people should look at. I remember coming home, and my teacher taught us to go home and help your family create a fire drill.
Correct.
Where you're going to go and da-da-da. And we thought we all knew. I may have been about 8, 9, maybe 10 years old. And we were just stumbling and bumbling because it had to have the lights out at night, and we just wanted to get outside. And da-da. But you realize that, well, I wasn't thinking that toy was there, and I wasn't thinking that somebody had moved the chair, and I bumped into it because I couldn't see it. So those are some of the things. I like what you talk about was the light, because I notice, and it's not just in certain neighborhoods or not just in Highland Park, but there are houses at night that are pitch black. I don't care how many street lights you have outside.
Right.
The front of the house is just so dark.
Right.
And I remember a lady I met years ago. She left her purse and her phone downstairs. And this is, you know, folks that have landlines. And she had the phone from upstairs, the cordless one. She left that downstairs. So she hears someone's breaking into the house. She has no way to call anybody.
No way.
Then when she did something to let them know that someone was in the house, so they took off. But when she got downstairs, purse was gone. Car is gone, laptop's gone, cell phone is gone. And it was just that she said, I should have made sure that there's a phone in every room that I'm going into, because most folks keep their cell phone on them, even going into the bathroom.
Right.
So these are just some of the things that I think folks can be mindful of. And I know that there are households with kids in them. If they don't have a cell phone, they're using a landline phone. And they'll put that phone down wherever they stop talking. So
I'm glad you said that. And what we need to get out of this habit of just saying your name in the phone and know the number. Because if I say call this number, you say I don't know it by heart. Get in the habit of calling the number, because if you had to go down the street, let's say something did happen, you say, oh, I left my cell phone, I don't know the number by heart. You should call the number, especially your mate. You should know your mate number, somebody emergency number. I used to tell people to leave a emergency bag somewhere where you can grab it, where it's got your doctor's name, medicine, an extra pair of shoes, socks, a shirt, or something, in case you had to abruptly get out the house and grab this bag. You had everything in it. You know, people like, oh, I left, I don't know. And when you're in panic mode, you're not thinking right till you settle down and say, okay, well, the number is, but if you had it wrote down, like the old parents said, you write it down.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to remember everything all the time, son.
And that's the thing with children.
Right.
I've seen kids, and I said, well, what is your mom's phone number? Oh, I just hit this on my phone. I say, call mama, call daddy. But they don't have that number remembered.
That's right.
They don't have that number locked in their memory. So when they lose their phones, it's like they've lost everything they know.
And that's why I say you should start calling the number. And don't just say call mom. Because if your phone break and you use somebody else's phone, they ain't got your mama name in their phone. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Or daddy in their phone.
Hope they
don't.
That's for sure.
Hope they don't say call mama, and it's your mom. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
So you want to be able to call that number by heart.
So that's something that parents still need to do,
Yes,
even with the most advanced cell phone.
I wouldn't care what it is.
Okay.
Dial the number.
Okay, we're going to take a break because I got to go wipe my eyes. I'm over here just laughing until I'm crying. But we're going to talk more about how to be safe in your home, in your car, how your kids can be safe when they're going back and forth to school. So please make sure to take a break with us, but come right back to more Highland Park Highlights.
Hi, this is LaWanda.
This is R.J. Watkins.
Coming to you to bring you some information about the #1 detox in the nation, Lemon Burn. Lemon Burn helps to turn the fat into fit. It's for you, a happier, healthier you. Because you know healthy is the new beautiful. An all-natural way to improve your health. It promotes a healthy digestive system, attacks and reduces belly fat, as well as gives you energy. Need to get yours today. Call 313-868-6612.
Don't forget to exercise and eat right.
Hi, excuse me, do you have anything for pain?
Straight down that aisle there.
All right, thank you.
Young lady, this here's what you need.
Ringmaster?
Ringmaster rubbing oil.
How does it work?
By promoting circulation since 1950. Massage it in for best results.
Ringmaster took care of my back pain.
Ringmaster got rid of my knee pain, too.
Wow, it sounds like I'm late to the party. I'll take one.
Find Ringmaster at CVS, Davis Drugs, and other fine stores.
If you need a car today, use credit, bruise credit, or in need of a financial miracle, my name is Mr. Green, the Financing King. Got a small down payment and proof of income. You can drive away today in a new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. Call me, Mr. Green, 313-350-4188. I have over 35 years of experience and an unlimited selection of reliable, certified vehicles. Call Mr. Green, the Financing King, 313-350-4188.
If you or someone you know is facing eviction and has a notice to quit or a court order summons, complaint, or judgment, there is help to avoid eviction. Call the Detroit Eviction Helpline at 866-313-2520 or visit DetroitEvictionHelp.com. The City of Detroit with the State of Michigan have eviction prevention programs to assist Detroit residents with financial assistance and legal representation. Again, Detroiters can call 866-313-2520 or visit www.DetroitEvictionHelp.com. That's 866-313-2520 or go online to DetroitEvictionHelp.com. Again, Detroiters can call 866-313-2520 or visit www.DetroitEvictionHelp.com. 866-313-2520. Get help today.
Welcome back to Highland Park Highlights. My name is Rod Liggins. We are joined today with Highland Park's Police Chief Kevin Coney. And Chief, I want to talk about, we left the last segment talking about being safe in your home and things you can do for both children and adults. The biggest thing that I still see in 2021 is folks, when they pull up to a gas station and they may or may not get gas. They may just pull up and want to go pick up a newspaper or something to drink or whatever. They leave the car running. Please, maybe coming from the top cop in the city, it will be adhered to a bit more. What should people do when they pull up to a gas station, a party store, or whatever, and they're in their mind, I'm just going to be in for a minute. So I'll keep the car running, I'll leave the kids in the car, I'll leave my purse in the car. What should be the standard operating procedure be for someone that pulls up to an establishment and thinks about leaving the car running?
Do not do that at all. Please don't. It takes just as fast you run in the store. That's how fast it takes somebody to take your car. I forget what the time they did a study one time. They called the pit crew thieves. And what they do is, if you ever watch racing, how fast they take the tires and stuff off the car, you time that. That's about how fast it takes somebody to take your car and take the tires off. They got professional people. It takes 2 seconds to cut your car off, take the person in the store, lock your car, go get the paper, and come back.
And I should have started a different way. Let's go back, because before you even go to a particular place for gas or beverages or whatever, what should they look for when they're pulling up to the place of business? And no matter, is there any reason why they should not go in?
Yes. If your gut feeling telling you to go somewhere else, I mean, a crowded store doesn't mean that everybody up there is doing something wrong. But the livelihood of your fear factor going up, if it's 5 people hanging out front of a particular store, a gas station, or a restaurant, just go somewhere else. If it's at nighttime, go where it's well lit. But I wouldn't, especially with kids, you don't want to leave a kid in the car. You run in the gas station and this kid looking at 4 or 5 people at the door, and you run inside and you leave your purse and everything in the car. You're gonna make an honest guy a criminal, because a guy say, "Hey man, it's that easy." And some of these kids are not thinking nowadays. It's that easy for you just to walk in the store for me to take your car. They're not thinking about the kid in the back seat. They're just looking for an opportunity to gain something, and you giving them an opportunity to lock your car. Keep your keys in your hand, and don't look intimidated, because like a bully look for somebody that they can intimidate. They don't always look for I ain't never seen somebody 6'8", 300 pounds get bullied by somebody 5'1".
Right.
It's usually somebody that feel like they can intimidate something to gain something. So if you was to pull up to a gas, even me, even though I'm a police officer, if I see something, I'll go to another store or gas station. Just because I'm a cop don't mean I can go in the gas station. I mean, in Highland Park, because everybody pretty much know who I am. But still, if I go somewhere else and I feel uncomfortable, I'll just keep riding.
And I had a woman friend of mine, and I won't give her name out to embarrass her, but it was a little after 10 o'clock. And I know she and we work, so we had to get up in the morning. So I was surprised that she was calling during the week that time. And I said, "What's going on?" I said, "I want you to stay on the line. I'm about to pull up and get some gas, and it doesn't look that safe." And I told her, I said, "All I'm going to be able to do is hear you scream if somebody's coming at you." She said, "Well, if I don't get the gas now, I've got to get up a few minutes earlier and get it in the morning." I said, "Get up a little bit earlier and get it in the morning. This is not safe." It's not saying it's going to be safer in the morning, but you're now combating against darkness and potential criminals. So that was something that I had to make sure she knew, and because she was just so sure that, because she had some mace on her and da-da-da. I said, "We're going to do something." I said, on the count of, and this is when I ran into her. I said, "I want you to get that mace out and point it ready to spray it in 10 seconds. Go." And I'm coming at her. And you should have seen, wait, and she reached in her purse and all this. Yeah. She said, "Wait, you didn't let me get ready." I said, "You can't get ready when you're about to be a potential victim of a crime." I said, to get ready is to be proactive. And that's like you said, you see my size here, I know that I have nothing that can stop a bullet.
Nothing.
I have nothing that can stop a knife, or I have nothing to stop a group of folks.
Right.
Because I remember there was a local minister. He was pumping gas, and someone talked to him, so he turned this way, and the guy came behind him and robbed him. But they were in tandem, and they took his vehicle, his jewelry, his wallet. But that's what I try to tell folks: be aware of your surroundings,
you have to.
And the fact that you need to make sure of who's around, and where you are, and where the exit is. I've seen people go into places they've never been in before, and I'm always scanning, and you can call it paranoid or whatever.
Call it what you want. As police officers, I have a rule, and 99% of the people, cops that have the same rule. We don't sit with our back to the door. I got to see what's coming in. And people think because you got these CCWs oh, I can just go anywhere. No, you can't, because somebody take the car, the gun.
That's it.
And that's it. You know, and I teach a class. It's a self-awareness class that I teach for everybody to be aware of your surroundings. The worst is ATM machines. You go there to the ATM machine, you got your back turned, you're on the phone talking. And how can I help you on the phone? Like you said, all I can do is hear you scream and say, hey, this is where she at. I'm going to do the same thing. So I tell people to have that. Half a tank is your E. When you get a half a tank of gas, that's your E. Go to the gas station.
And I remember I had a police officer friend of mine. I do have a license to carry, and I left it in the car. And he clowned me because it was an automatic, but he said, you're not ready if something jumps off. I said, what are you talking about? I said, I got my weapon here. And he said, yeah, but you didn't have it ready to fire. By the time someone would come up and you doing this, it's too late. So you have to be aware. Just because you have it don't mean you know that you're ready to use it.
Right.
And I had to really start to practice on that. I had to make sure that, you know, as a single man, I knew how to keep it. Nobody knows where I keep it.
Right.
So I don't broadcast that. But to hear him say that, I thought I was good because I was armed. But that doesn't mean anything because they can find your deceased body with your hand on
your gun,
right?
With the hand on it, trying to do something. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
You don't have to get ready. These are the things that we really want to be proactive about. We're not trying to scare anyone,
right?
But we just want to make sure that people are safe. Chief, I want to thank you for coming out today. This has been very beneficial. And as long as I'm here, I promise you this will not be the last time. I'm going to ask you to come back because we do have warmer weather coming up and we do have outdoor activities. So we want to make sure people are safe. And we want to make sure that whether you live in the city or visit Highland Park, that you're safe. So be sure to join us next Monday as we have another episode of Highland Park Highlights where we talk about things that benefit you, the residents, the businesses, and the city as a whole. Have a great Monday and have a great week. Take care.